It's kind of fascinating. It's almost like we talk about the unknown and unknowable and its application in the sport. Like, I think you captured it a little bit like, hey, here's this heavy object. Get it up. Like, get it to your shoulder. Kind of had like a cool, what were some of the things you guys approached from like in the back practicing early on? Because you have a very limited scope to practice.
Well, women went first, so I didn't have quite as long to like play with the bag. But we tried a few different techniques. Obviously, you can pick up the bag like long ways, or you can go like vertically. I tried both and I felt more comfortable picking up vertically, so that's what we went with. But yeah, it was interesting in the warm-up area. Like, everyone was scrambling, trying to work out the best way to go about it. But yeah.
Have you been coached? You look like, because watching you, it looked like you'd been coached. That's doing this stuff.
YouTube. An hour before, right. So like, I mean, we had no idea what to do. I'm like, I just Googled heavy sandbag lift, and then I'd like watch some people do it, and the people that did it, the heaviest that I saw did it the way that the way I was doing it, and
you did the kind of over under, right?
Yeah, like, the over under lift, and we like, okay, like we'll just test out both in the warm up area. The other, like I don't know what you call it, hot dog style. The other way, it just looked like there's a lot of time under tension. Like, once you got it up, it was just a big shimmy, but the other way, it looked like if you can get it to your lap, it was more of like a quick transition to your shoulder was what we thought. But like, I've never even touched the sandbag before, so like, I have no idea what to happen. And in the warm-up area, all they had was a 260 and a 300 for the guys. And like, there was a lot of people struggling with the 260 in the warm-up area. Like, everyone was getting it, but everyone was like, you could see the faces when they walked away, along with mine. I was like, oh Lord, this is our second weight. Like, uh-oh. It was a 300-pound bag, and like, I saw like 3 or 4 people attempt it. No one even got it to their lap. And I was like, people kept trying to lift it up, and they're like, no, that's not happening. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Like, I'm just going to go up and pick it up. And I got it to my shoulder, and you can kind of like see everyone was like, uh-oh. And in my head, I'm like, dude, it's going to be a quick event. You know, like there might be a couple of us that like take the sandbag up, but by 300 pounds, like, I would assume most of the field's going to be gone, because I only saw 2 other people in the warm-up area hit the 300. I saw lots of people attempt it, only 2 other people get it. And dude, adrenaline, I guess, is a crazy thing, because we got out there and the whole field made it to 300. It seemed like it was crazy. Nothing that we expected. I mean, I didn't think I was getting too far past 300 either. And it was, it was a wild event.
I have to ask about like mid-event, right? It didn't seem like there was a ton of structure by intent, as far as like you finish your lift and then everyone's kind of milling about. I was on the floor watching both sides of it, and it almost seemed like this case study in human behavior. It's like, if you throw a bunch of like just alphas into a pit and then you give them a task one by one, like, how do they manage and sort themselves accordingly? So from your guys' perspective, what was that process like? Because it seemed very, very intriguing, at least from our end.
It was a little bit like, there wasn't really too many rules. And we were told that in the briefing. They sort of said, like, you have 30 seconds to lift, but if you want to have another attempt, we're going to be like a little bit flexible with that. But then we didn't really address like what happens when people start getting out and like your line gets shorter. Do you then just like have less rest, or what goes on? So I know, like, I mean, I was in Danny Spiegel's line, so she was just like cycling through pretty quick. But I went up to one of the judges and I was like, can I have a little bit more rest? Like, do I have to go now, or can I like try and cycle through like I was before and like miss a few? And they were sort of like, yeah, like, that's fine if that's what you want to do. And then like when I eventually got out, I think I was the last one to lift, and then it was like the tie break, and I sort of went up to Boz and I was like, I'm going to need some time because I'm seeing stars right now. Like, I need to take a little bit of a break. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. So I think they were like, they knew it was going to be a little bit more flexible in that style of event. And they were just sort of, they had control of it, but there wasn't any like set guidelines.
That is such a unique environment. And, you know, we can all, most of us can imagine what that is like. You get to experience it. What is that experience like, being on that floor with that many people, being that loud during that event?
I just got chills.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a lot different for me, at least, than like an Olympic lifting. Like I feel like if you hit an ollie lift with like precision and aggression, it's not a huge tax. Like, if you can catch the bar in the front rack nice and high, bounce out of the squat and smash your jerk, like for a clean and jerk, like it's not too bad. But like, there's like kind of no way to like escape the sandbag with ease, you know, like it's a hard lift off the ground and it's a hard lift shimmying it up your body kind of from the last 3 or 4 weights. At least that was for me. And it took so much like mental concentration to be checked in that like I just kind of had like a tunnel vision on like what I needed to do. And it was like lift, recover, and then try to like, I kept walking back and forth to try to get that like adrenaline pumping again so I could get myself to kind of attack the sandbag. So it was definitely like, it was pretty crazy and kind of like in shock because like I don't feel the same way when I'm like doing 3 heavy lifts for a clean and jerk compared to like those last 3 lifts with the sandbag was so much more like taxing. But like the thing with like an ollie lift is like if you miss it, you know, but like you can grind through that sandbag. Like doesn't mean you're going to get it, but like you can grind and work for it, which I kind of was what everyone loved to see.
Yeah.
But no matter what, it's super like expensive.
What's it like to having all those people just watch you out
Yeah.
there? Everyone's just like looking at you and then going nuts when you're wrestling. I mean, do you feel that effect? Does it help?
You do feel it. It definitely adds to the adrenaline, but you are in such like a tunnel vision of like the task at hand and like I'm out here to do this job that it's like a weird feeling almost. It's like, you know, they're watching, but it doesn't really matter. If that makes sense.
It seemed like at times as the bags got heavier and the numbers dwindled a little bit, there was a little bit more time to, if you needed to as an athlete, tap into that. Because you talked about like having to get geared up for that a little bit. It felt like there were times when like everyone realizes like, oh man, I got another fight on my hands. Like you just went 5 rounds with a world-class boxer and you got to go back in. Like, all right. Now I'm going to talk to everyone, like throw the hands up. And I don't know if you guys felt that, but it seemed like there were more people trying to tap into that.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of people trying to tap into it. I kind of just try to like focus on what I was doing. And I think it was awesome to see the crowd just kind of got behind me no matter what, you know? And like the only way I can kind of describe that feeling is like when you're in the gym and like your song comes on, you know, and you're just like, let's go, you know? And I think like when the crowd gets wild, like that's the kind of like adrenaline dump you get. And I feel like everyone kind of has that feeling when they're in the middle of the workout and they hear their song and they're like, oh yeah, you know? So just kind of like channeling that in and kind of smashing the bag.